Hello everyone, my name is Maria Oreska and it's my pleasure to introduce you to a new addition to our portfolio, Inphinity Forms Planning Extension. Many of you already covered your planning use cases by using available Inphinity Forms extensions, and this one will make it even more seamless for both end users and developers. Simply said, it's editable pivot table. When I update data, all respected totals are automatically updated. That's what is called bottom-up planning. It works also vice versa. So when I update total, all linked values are automatically updated based on the distribution function. That's what is called top-down planning. Let me show you how you can create such a great planning object in your applications by yourself. As always, Inphinity Forms extensions can be found in the Custom Objects section, in the Infinity Bundle subsection. Force Planning, as all the other extensions, is click native. That means it works and behaves the same way as any click objects you know, so it's very intuitive not only for end users but also for developers. As I would do in case of click pivot table, I now need to define my dimensions, my rows and columns. To define the editable cells, you need to add a new measure. We can call it a plan. As you see, the hierarchy is automatically generated. So easy, right? Actually, it's already ready to be used, but with some default settings. Let's go through the properties you have available in the Properties panel to customize the object. The most important settings are obviously those who are linked to the editable cells. So this is a label. It's shown only when you have multiple measures defined. Another important one is field name. That's a technical name how the value is going to be stored in a data storage. So let's rename it from the default to plan. I can make the field a bit wider because I want to use click native number formatting to enter money in the table. And this is probably the most important part of the properties panel for the planning use cases. It's exactly where you define the aggregation and distribution functions. Again, aggregation function is the logic how totals are calculated when you update linked data. When I update exercise ball, these totals are sum of the values. Distribution function is what defines how top-down planning is calculated. So how my adjusted totals are distributed across the linked cells. Flat means that in each level of the hierarchy, the very same value is used. Proportional distribution function is the one that respects current ratios or the ratios between currently available values. Let me show you. See, the ratios remains the same. And the last option, weighted distribution, is the most powerful one because you can connect it to data from your data model. Yes, it's the right option if you want to use the same ratios between data as was in last year data. yeah, for example, last year revenues. I need to define the expression. So let me very quickly show you data I have available. So for each country and product, I have 4 quarters with a value. So this value is what I want to use as the weighted function. Obviously, the best check how it works is to select a subset of data and try it. Here it is, quarter 1, quarter 2, 3, and 4. This is exactly the value of the last year revenues, but I can use any value I want, and it will be distributed according to last year revenues ratio. As you noticed, as I was selecting country and product, my forms planning object is showing me only what I have selected. So again, it's click native and behaves the same as any other click object. When I do any changes, they are applied only to that part of the planning table that is currently selected. Thanks to it, you have a wide range of options how to fill in the plan for the next year. If I want to define the plan not only for 1 year ahead, but for example 2 years, I can add another dimension as a column. I have a predefined field, pivot year, with values 2025 and 2026. Again, the hierarchy is automatically generated and even the absolute total has been added. My numbers disappeared because I changed the definition of the key. Before I explain the options you have when defining the key, let me show you how you can define the data storage. You may notice that I didn't define any data storage so far. So, as you probably assumed, by default, it's stored in a default storage that's called form planning. If I want to create a new data storage, I need to go to the Forms admin application, and in the Forms configuration section, I simply add a new form instance ID. As type, I select planning, XML, SQL, QED, and save the new data storage. The form instance ID is its unique identifier, so I will just copy it and paste it here in the form configuration section. Now my values disappeared because I changed the data storage. Let's come back to the key definition. By default, the unique identifier of each cell is obviously the country, the product, the year, the quarter, and also this field name. This is how it looks in a data storage. So these are the row level dimensions, country and the product, and column level dimensions, year and the quarter. And plan is this label we defined for the measure. If you need to use a different format of a key, it's possible. You need to go to the form configuration section and define call key expression. Please note it needs to be unique for every single cell you have in this editable pivot table in the forms planning extension. In our case, it can be this combination of country and product the row level dimensions, and pivot year and quarter, the dimensions I used to define columns. Values disappeared because I changed the key. And this is the way how my manual inputs are stored now after the changes in the key definition. Another property that's available here in the form configuration section is precision. It's number of decimal places that's used to do the calculations. It can differ from what's shown to end user, and this is an example. You can find more details about all these parameters in the documentation, and you don't need to have the link saved anywhere because in the About section of your Properties panel is the link. When you click on it, you are in a Forms documentation, and in a Developer section, you can go to the main configuration and find Forms planning. Last but not least, I would like to show you how to add colors to this editable pivot table, especially to highlight totals, right? So we need to go to data, and country is the level where totals are calculated. So for each country, we will change the background color. And we can also change the background color for year and quarter. As you see, you can play with click expressions, variables, whatever you find helpful. This is an example where I define not only background color for year 2025 and 2026, but also for this absolute total that's automatically generated. And if you want to change the background color of editable cells, you need to go to the Measure section, open the measure, the editable measure that you want to update, and define the expression. A tip, you can use row number function to highlight these totals. Obviously, now we don't have this nice blue background in totals and orange in totals here. So you just need to play with the background color expression. And this is an example how it could look like. This will be included in the description of the video, so feel free to copy and paste it. Ta-da! Okay, I said this was last but not least, but there is really the last thing I want to mention, and that's how you can adjust these buttons in a toolbar. So you need to go to the Appearance section. In the Button Visibility section, you can allow, for example, Recalculate button that not only saves the data, but also triggers the reload of the application. Note that the same logic as works in other forms object applies also here. When you hit the Save button, your adjustments are automatically available to everyone who is working with the same data right now. You don't need to reload the application. No worries if multiple users are working with the same data. In the Forms admin application, you can enable the real-time collaboration, and that means that whenever you have any unsaved modifications, unsaved changes in your form, it's locked for other users, so it prevents them from making their adjustments while you are doing yours. In the button labels, you can change the labels. so it's even more intuitive for end users. I hope you find this functionality useful, because we developed it based on your feedback, and that it will save you a lot of time and bring a lot of value to your end users and customers. Stay tuned, and until the next Tech Tuesday video, enjoy forms planning.